board cases. There are two cases on this evening's agenda. I would like to note that the second item on tonight's agenda, which would be for 1714 Tambor Drive, which would be Design Review Board Case Number 2-PDR 2011-010-A, was improperly noticed on site, and so we would need to continue that matter for 2 weeks. Typically, that would bring us to the meeting of September 15th, but I believe at this point in time there are no other cases on the agenda, and we were going to actually have that meeting dark. So let me confirm with this, but so if we don't mind taking the first case, and then
Sure.
while we handle that one and only case on tonight's agenda, I'll come back and let you know when we will be continuing this matter.
Sounds good. So we're going to start with case number 2-PDR-2011-020-A. I have one card filled out, so I guess I'm going to ask Mr. Noravian to come by and talk about it, or maybe staff will be presenting it first, right?
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chair, member of the board. This project is located at 4363 Lauderdale Avenue. The project is to construct a new one-story, approximately 1,300 square foot single-family residence with an existing 427 square foot detached stone garage. On the existing property, it is approximately about 8,000 square feet in size. It's located on the northwest corner of Lauderdale Avenue and 5th Avenue. At present, there is a one-story, 1,433 square foot unfinished structure on the property. The site also contains a 427 square foot detached two-car stone garage and a stone retaining wall along both Lauderdale Avenue and 5th Avenue, which are proposed to remain. The zone for this property is R1, Florida District 2. This project and this site has a little bit of history. I'm going to try to be brief about it. To give some background, in 1990, the Glendale Stone House Survey was conducted to identify stone homes in the foothills of Glendale. The survey was designed to locate and identify examples of pre-1950 construction where the native stone was used as the primary building material. The subject property had a National Resource Code 5, which meant the property was ineligible for a National Register but still of local interest. Around 2000, 2001, there's a letter from Building and Safety which indicates that the house that was identified in the Glendale Stone Houses survey was modified beyond 50% of the cost evaluation and beyond the total structure had been removed. And as a result, any permit review of the unfinished structure it has to be reviewed as a new home. In 2010, the applicant submitted a standards and setback variance, which was approved and allowed the garage to be located in the required 6-foot street side setback, maintain the substandard interior dimensions, the non-conforming two-car single-door garage, which there's two of them, and to be configured without a driveway, which is minimum 20 foot in length. As part of both this DRB application and the approved variance, mitigated negative declaration was prepared and to avoid any further loss of cultural resources in North Glendale. And as part of the mitigation measure, as part of that environmental study, was a stone garage and the retaining walls were to remain. I'm going to go into this project here as far as site planning. The staff feels that the proposed one-story home, it will be well situated, generally in the northwest portions of the lot, and will appear complementary to the site pattern of the neighborhood. Mass and scale, the overall project will be visible from 5th Avenue and Lauderdale Avenue. The proposed addition and modifications to the unfinished structure are designed to complement the low profile of the surrounding neighborhood and to maintain a compact building form. The visual impact of the garage is minimized as partially built into the slope at the property's street side yard and blends with the existing stone retaining wall. Overall, the scale of the home will fit well with the surrounding properties. Onto building detail and design. The applicant has designed it with gable roofs, combination board and batten and hardy plank siding, cement plaster, and asphalt shingle. The windows for the entire building will have a combination of vinyl sliders with clear story windows applied with wood window trim and sills. Staff suggests that the fenestration patterns, particularly along the Fifth Avenue elevation, should be reconsidered, as it does not appear to be composed well as the north and the east elevation. Overall, for the building design and detailing, while the applicant seeks to modify and add to the existing unfinished home, staff believes the applicant has successfully integrated the addition to the unfinished building currently on the site. Overall, staff's recommendation is approval for this project with the following conditions. One, the fenestration pattern along Fifth Avenue should be reconsidered to provide a design composed as well as the other elevations. The fenestration pattern should be redesigned for approval by staff prior to building permit plan check approval. Two, the windows should be block frame, constructed fiberglass or wood, and to be treated with real wood sills and surrounds. And three, just as a note or a reminder, vinyl sidings should not be used. This concludes staff's presentation, and the applicant's also here as well for any questions. So this concludes staff's presentation.
Were there any letters or comments from the neighbors?
Staff did not receive any correspondences.
Okay, so I guess at this point I'll open the public, what do we call it, public
Portion.
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 Invite the applicant for 5 minutes.
And I have one card from Mr. Noravian.
Yes. West Broadway, Glendale, California, the architect project. We have to maintain existing stone garage and implement it, but not copy it. Because we want to maintain the
You need to speak into the
mic. Is it on?
your microphone.
Can you tap it?
Oh,
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Start again. No.
Okay, so it's a simple structure. This is actually on 2 lots, so our lot happens to be bigger than most of the lots around it, but we decided not to overbuild, mainly because it's very important for my client to control costs. It has a long history. We won't go into it, but it's been a long time, and it's been a great financial loss for him already. So he's trying to keep the construction cost to a minimum. Just want to mention that the original structure that's there was done without permits. My client didn't have anything to do with that. It was the prior owner of the property, and it's been in that condition for a long time. And I'm sure the neighbors will be happy to see it gone. Most of it is going to be gone. About 85% of the existing structure is going away. I'm just proposing to keep the footprint, and that will be the east or the west side, which is lower. If you look at the existing, I showed it on my elevations how the massing is going to be brought down because the part on the east side is going away, basically. And let's see. Oh, as far as the recommendations, if you have any suggestions for reworking any of the elevations, I'm open to that. But I would like to see if we can try to keep the vinyl windows. Again, because cost is an issue, I think when we're using siding and a wood trim around the windows, in my opinion, vinyl windows should be acceptable. And fiberglass windows are substantially more for a project like this. I mean, we're trying to keep everything to a minimum. So if it's possible to keep the vinyl windows, I would appreciate that. That's all I have to say. If you have any questions.
Are you keeping any of the existing windows?
No, all the existing is aluminum, so they're all coming out. Yeah.
So you're just keeping the footprint, just the foundation?
Yeah, just foundation and the wall on the, and a little bit of the roof on the west side.
Can you talk about the reason for the two different kinds of siding?
Just to add a little bit of interest, that's all.
And the base, the wainscot is actually a plastered wainscot?
It's a plaster wainscot. We talked about it way back when I was first designing this with staff, and we agreed that if we try to use stone, it's never going to match the original stone. So it's better not to use stone, but to break it up a little bit, we decided to use the plaster.
Are you going to do the color palette that you're showing in your renderings or in your model?
Oh, no, the rendering.
That's just for
Rendering and
mass, right?
sample board. The colored 3D, the computer doesn't print it exactly the color that we want, so.
Okay.
Any?
No more?
Yeah, I guess since there is no other person to talk, we can close the public session.
Thank you.
So who likes?
I started last time.
You gonna go? I was reviewing it today and went out there, and I think even though it's a small project, I do think it should sort of come together visually, and I think there's some issues that are working against it, and I think the two different kinds of siding I think are difficult, and I'm not exactly sure about whether you would need to do the plaster base coat or the wainscot on it. I'm not sure about that. I definitely think the siding needs to be looked at, and definitely the windows, as staff was saying. I think it's trying to be two different styles, sort of a kind of 60s or 70s contemporary, and trying to evoke an earlier style, and that I think is part of the conflict for me. So I think there needs to be a clarification in terms of what the style is and how it's treated. And then there's another issue with the left-hand side on the Fifth Street elevation where you have two different pitches on that, which I think is unnecessary with the amount of works going on. Those pitches ought to be regularized. And again, depending on the way the style goes, I'm not sure how that porch works on the that front elevation. So even though it's a simple building, I think there's some issues to it that could pull it together a little bit stronger. I think it's a little disjointed and not clear in terms of where it's headed. So I would have issues with kind of those 3 or 4 ideas.
I guess for me, it is a simple project. It's one of those projects where we a lot of times talk about large buildings and the footprint size, and people are always up in arms about the size of the building being too large. This one almost feels like it's too small for the lot. But with the landscape plan I looked at, I feel like you're making the home almost like a bungalow within the landscape, and I appreciate that because I think that will make this property a welcoming, inviting, beautiful property to both streets that you're bordering. So in that sense, I guess my fear of it being too small for the lot has kind of dissuaded. I do see what you're saying about the materials and how they're broken up, and from the model, I think I have an issue with just how much plaster is on the bottom and how you're taking the line of the existing rock work, and carrying that across. It makes the house look almost like unproportional, like there's too much bottom cement plaster to the top siding part of it, where we use the bottom plaster as more of a base. This is kind of like half the building, and maybe that's part of another problem that I have with the model and how you show it. And the front porch, I feel like this style of building, it's simple, it's kind of a ranch style. You want that porch to be a nice, gracious entry point, and I think that if you had a deeper porch where you can at least put a couple chairs and a table and make it feel like it was like a older period style home, that might also help, because you're trying to make this house, especially with the landscape plan, about the outdoors, and so that would also tie into the feeling of it. It's another room outside your house as part of the landscape. So overall, I think the massing for me, it looks lovely. I think that like I said, it's more modest than I probably would have expected to see on this lot. Beyond that, I have no issues with it. And the windows, I would say that the staff recommendation on the 5th Street elevation, if you were to center the bedroom window under the eave, that might look better. You have an opportunity to make the bathroom window to the right of that a little wider to get more light into the bathroom and center that within the room. That might help in just kind of making it more light and airy. Again, connecting it back into the landscape, and not just because I like landscape, but I think that helps you in the whole planning of this building. Since it's so modest, it is about the indoor-outdoor relationship, and not just about the building.
Can you please show which bedroom window you're?
On 5th Street, it's this bedroom. At the center.
But that's there's another one at the corner.
It's not. There's two, but why not just move it over? Help the elevation.
Yeah. No, in terms of the windows, or actually, I'll start with the base. It seems like you have a continuous base, and then the land is lower on one side, so it all of a sudden gains a lot of. So I can see the problem that you're facing, but maybe one thing that you can entertain, if you can take care of it landscape-wise, maybe a hedge that can kind of let it be broken down, so the base of the building is not so exposed. Maybe on the two sides that you have the height, you can. I think maybe Ms. Sakai can. Comment on that, but I think a hedge is one way, or other way type of landscaping can be one way of dealing with that. I think the siding can help. Is there a reason that the siding is different in such a? You can go to one horizontal. I think it will solve the problem. The shapes of the windows, to me, I don't see a problem with them. I mean, I think actually it seems pretty consistent to me, unless I'm not seeing something. But there are only two types of windows, and that's kind of pretty consistent. The pitches that Mr. Girokos referred to, I think that could be a good change if you can fix that to be one pitch on the same elevation. Other than that, let me just review the comments one more time. I think that's basically what I have. But in terms of the vinyl windows, I think because you're keeping the original, I mean, there's such a big contrast between the original rocks that make up the garage, and it's such a rustic material. I'm feeling that the vinyl window use will be just the opposite end of where it should be, because it would be such a light versus heavy. So that, to me, I don't know if the color can make any difference or not, but you're showing white, and I think that won't have the right weight for the building. So I would agree that you need a little bit of rustic look for this building, and that's all I have. And I would recommend. I don't know if I should. I can't start so you guys can talk about it.
I think for me with the windows, I didn't necessarily have a problem with it. I was thinking that it was working in two different styles. And I think that was my issue.
You're talking about this point?
Yeah, the triangle ones.
Yeah, no, I think I
think
agree
that when you're doing the wainscot, and then you're trying to evoke an older style, and then you're kind of doing a more modern window thing.
Yeah,
I think there's a conflict
in that sense, I agree. The triangular window is one thing I wanted to point out. It kind of the side. I mean, the wall of this original rock wall, because it's there and it's going to stay there. The triangular window is a little bit on the modern side and doesn't kind of read with the rest of the. So I would probably reconsider that. I agree there. with that.
Well, I guess I differ because I think that the house is trying. He's like he said, he was trying to make it different from the wall. Like he's not trying to copy the wall. And
No, it's not copying. It's just that.
but the style of the house is more of a modern, like almost a '60s contemporary feel, where you're having very light, and airy,
which I think is fine.
pointed windows.
Which I think is fine. That's what I'm saying. You take it one way or the other. That's my issue. Is they're putting a wainscot on it, which sort of negates some of the modern aspect of it. That's why I think it's evocative of the rock wall and the most historical style. I think that's where the conflict is.
You also make it just a straight trim around the window, and
without the
make it simplified.
wainscot, so we've got a more modern. I mean, either take it one way or another. I think that
Right.
my issue is that it's both and neither.
Yeah, and my comment was that since the wall is there, it's not going to go anywhere. So if you put a 60s sort of, what did you call it? Contemporary.
Contemporary.
Yeah, 60s contemporary
Past mid-century.
kind of contemporary building. I think there will be a sort of a disjunction between the two. That's my sense of it, because then you would wonder. Why is the wall there, and or how the building changed, not to kind of work with that, I would think.
Well, I think the story is the wall is there, the building burned down or got demolished, and they put a new building in.
Yeah, but the wainscot. Yeah, but the wainscot is. I think it's still kind of carrying some of the things into it, but it's not quite.
Right. So then
mean, you
detach
can-
it.
you
Like
can
don't.
see it
It's
in
kind
the-
of trying to match it, but not
Yeah, but I'd rather not be there, and
just be a house.
exactly that is itself working with the other. I mean, for me, I think the thing that's great about it is the stone that's left on the garage is really great. It's a really great architectural piece. So, I mean, in my case, it would be nice if it went more towards like a mountain feel, like the house may have been, and then you could do siding on the whole thing. You wouldn't have to do any wainscoting. I mean, those type of homes would have siding, all the way down, no wainscot. So the whole issue on the wainscot, I don't think it needs the wainscot, and I think that's what, for me, is confusing it, and then the fact that there's different kinds of siding. So I'm just saying, you either would take it more bungalow-like, or you would take it slightly more contemporary where it was going. So, but I think even if you went contemporary, I still would want to hedge it towards a more sort of rustic or mountain feel, where you got warmer tones that sort of helped tie in with the stone in that way, that it felt a little bit more connected. It could still be contemporary, but might be darker colors, kind of evoking more of a mountain feel. So
I think,
I don't mind which way they go. I just wish it would go in one or the other.
I think your point about having white windows is a good point, because the white definitely doesn't do much to the house. It doesn't have that character.
It doesn't feel natural.
Like you wanted this little jewel of a house to have character to it, and one of that things is the accent color that they could put on windows. So this one doesn't have that.
A little bird chirped in my ear about Sea Ranch. So if you want to Google Sea Ranch, a contemporary structure that obviously had more wood than you would probably do here, but the idea being that it was a darker tone and more earth tones to kind of bring in the stone with it. So.
Sort of like how the existing building looks with the rocks. And I think that if you tie in the wainscoting, not the wainscoting, the siding material onto like the color or the style of it into the garage door panels, then you kind of have that it belongs on the site feel.
Yeah, that's a good
Tie
comment.
it together.
Somehow the garage doors.
Or
You're
just
changing
painting.
the garage doors? Yeah. Okay. So,
I don't know what
Yeah,
the,
if you'd like to make a
Well-
motion to.
Well,
What is our motion?
what was our motion? I would sort of like to see it again, but I don't know what the feeling of the board is.
You think should be seen, yeah?
Unless you think you can give enough direction. What I'm saying is I think it's at a fork in the road and it needs to take one of the two forks. I think if it was further down one fork, we could address it. I'm not sure
Well,
where
I could-
it goes.
But I could see the siding coming down further, and that would help alleviate my issues with it, and also yours. The windows, a consideration of what the placements and the sizes, and because we're not,
Yeah, I think. if
Perhaps if we tried reading back what we've heard.
Yeah.
Well, my point is, if we start taking the angled windows off, then we're taking it more towards a bungalow style. So if that's what we're saying, I could sit here and give directions toward taking it to a bungalow style. That's my point. I mean, if we're going to take it down one fork or the other, I don't have a problem, but know that we're taking it down one fork. So I'm going to give recommendations that it gets more bungalow.
I see
Maybe
the
we
angle
can-
when it's as bungalow style. You can have that in a sea ranch house. So
I think
don't have a problem with it.
The way it's treated, whether it's contemporary or not.
I think the architect has motioned that they would, if they have to choose a direction, they prefer the bungalow style rather than the
Then we'll make
contemporary
that.
style. I see the architect nodding.
Okay.
So that may help you in making a decision.
We are
And
making
I
that.
was-
We made the fork. in
And
the
I
road.
was going to suggest that we can always direct recommendations in a direction that can promise a bungalow style.
That's fine. I mean, we've made the fork in the road, which is okay. Just
We have like
We just have to be
bungalow
specific about
style that connects with the landscape. So it's an airy indoor-outdoor feel to it that speaks to the landscape around it, and they keep to the landscape plan. I think that it'll be a really nice
Yeah.
design.
fine.
And have a more gracious porch, which also speaks to that indoor-outdoor feel.
That's fine.
Pretty
We've
lower.
picked the fork in the road, which is okay.
Okay.
I thought you were going to
and
pick the
okay.
So maybe if we ask Stephanie read the comments.
Perhaps maybe I can start. There's a lot to kind of.
I'm sorry, Dennis. I'll go ahead and read back what I have, and if I've missed something, please, everyone should jump in. Before I read back the areas of agreement that we've heard, if I could touch on a couple of issues that I'm not really sure there's board consensus on. One of the primary issues, I think, is the roof pitch. We heard from, I think, Board Member Zarifian that the roof pitch, the asymmetrical nature of it was okay. And then we also...
Agreed that there should be one.
So one slope. Now, I guess there's two issues, I think, with the roof being that in the I'm just going to refer to it as a larger form. The larger form has a different slope, and it also is asymmetrical. So I wanted to check in with
Bring
you
that slope
all.
to the other slopes.
So just bring the slope to the other slope, and the asymmetrical nature of it can remain?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's helpful.
You're saying because the plate height is higher on the one side.
Okay,
Plate height is higher. Is that what you're getting at?
right.
The plate height on the left side is higher?
Right, so if we have the plate height remain where it's currently shown and simply change the slope, that would ease your concerns about the roof and tie it together more.
I mean, it would be better if it matched, obviously.
Okay. And I think we have a consensus that the triangular window, especially on the 5th Street elevation, should be removed.
No, I like it.
Okay, that's why we're asking. Yeah.
On the
No, it depends if it falls in the right bungalow or other style. That
Yeah, I don't think it fits in the style if you're going to that style. That was my point. I mean, if you take it one way or the other.
The bungalow style, but bungalow styles, you also have if you have a higher roof, you have that windows that go up higher than just.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be
But it
triangular or asymmetric.
wouldn't be triangular.
I think more contemporary, like I see in,
That's what I'm saying. That was the fork I was
it's
talking
still
about.
a bungalow, but it's not a period bungalow. It's a
Okay, we're
contemporary
doing
bungalow.
that's why we do a hybrid. I just didn't think we were going to redesign it. But
You really don't like it.
I think the triangles are part of the confusion for me.
Well, 'cause I think the triangle in the front though works well with the porch and the roofs, and it gives you a lot more openness. But I like the feel of the house when it has a lot more openness to it. If it's going to have that indoor-outdoor relationship.
Well, then I think it ought to be bigger then. I mean, I think they're so small they look funny.
Okay.
I mean, and it's a smaller asymmetrical and all that.
Yeah,
I think its layout is
I think on
contemporary.
two sides they're done in one way, which goes all the way to the eave.
Yeah.
On this side, it's a floating one. That's the part that.
Because that plate height is higher.
Yeah.
A lot taller wall.
Yeah, so I have less of a problem on the north and Lauderdale, the main entry side. This one is the one that kind of looks
Okay.
kind of funny.
So is there agreement that the triangular, for lack of a better term, the triangular clear-story windows on the front Lauderdale Avenue elevation and the north elevation can remain, and that the triangular window on the Fifth Street elevation should be removed or revised.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think
Okay.
it will work out.
Okay, so those were the two areas where we were concerned there wasn't consensus, and thanks for clarifying that. The overarching comment that we heard is that the house right now has a somewhat disjointed appearance and should be modified for a consistent bungalow type look throughout. Another overarching comment is that fits in with that is that the bungalow style building within the landscape should have an indoor-outdoor feel, and the recommendation is to enlarge the porch to enhance that indoor-outdoor feel. So those are sort of two overarching comments. Then we also heard that in addition to the triangular window on the Fifth Street elevation to be removed, we heard the fenestration on that elevation in particular should be reviewed and revised, because it's not as, for lack of a better term, it's not as artful as the other elevations. Is that?
Yeah, I think they should.
Yeah, it's a floating. I mean, it's the other ones kind of they go all the way up and hit the eave, and this one is a punched window, which kind of doesn't do the same thing as the other ones are doing. So if it remains like the rest of the punched windows as a simple window, probably it will work better.
So if I can please read the condition that the staff report had, and then we can maybe modify that condition so that we have a little clarity. That's condition number 1 in your report. The fenestration pattern along Fifth Avenue should be reconsidered to provide a design composed as well as the other elevations. And what we'll add to that is if it's a punched window within that elevation, potentially a different size and location in that elevation, that would be appropriate. Does that seem like a fair assessment of the board's comments?
Yep.
Okay. Also on the windows, just to also clarify, those triangular clear-story windows on the north elevation, the front elevation, which is the Lauderdale elevation, can remain. The windows should be other than vinyl. What we heard is that the vinyl is not complementary to the rustic quality and the rock walls, and fiberglass, aluminum, or wood should be used in those locations.
I think the other portion of that is the color. That the color should be a darker or warmer tone, not white, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, white kind of looks like vinyl. And, I mean,
If there are now brown vinyl that we have some level of confidence in,
There's
would
brown
that
and the sandstone, the brown or the sandstone, I think would be good.
so that would be, that would not be inappropriate?
yeah.
Okay, so vinyl would be approvable
If
as
it's
long
right.
as it's a brown or sandstone color.
Yes.
Okay. We also have a condition in the staff report on the windows. The windows should be block frame constructed of, well, we talked about the construction, that they could be fiberglass or wood or vinyl in the sandstone or brown color, and to be treated with real wood sills and surrounds. Is that, do we have agreement on the board on that condition? Okay, good. Then we heard a number of comments on the siding. The wainscot, I think we heard agreement that the wainscot should be removed altogether, and that the siding should essentially run throughout the building for the entire height of the wall. that a consistent horizontal siding, because of the modest size of the building, there doesn't need to be two different types of siding. Is there a board preference between the vinyl siding or the board and batten?
I didn't know we could do vinyl siding, and I probably wouldn't recommend it. 'Cause
I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Vertical,
I
you mean
mean
vertical?
horizontal or board and batten.
I think either would be good. I think if it went slightly more to more a traditional bungalow, the vertical siding could be very interesting. I think a lot of mountain homes that have the kind of stonework have board and batten, which is a really great look. But I think it might want to not be as much of a hybrid. I think for that to be more successful.
Okay,
For me, it could be either.
so the siding can be vertical or horizontal as long as it's consistent around the building?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you done with the?
I'm only done when you say we're done.
No, with you. No, if you finish, one comment regarding wainscoting, I think it seems to me if it comes all the way down, it will gain a lot of height. If you just look at the building, it will look a very small and vertical building, especially on the Fifth Avenue side. So I think if the height of the porch, if it's picked as a datum line, and you continue that as a continuous base, that as it hits the ground, it seems like it needs something to become the ground plane for the house.
Okay.
That could be something that maybe
It could be the stem wall. Show the stem wall. As
yeah, it's like,
sure.
like
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And then it seems like it's kind of not as high. We can maybe work with that.
Okay.
Show the stem wall below floor height. Let the stem wall show.
So, is that an either or, that the siding can go down to the
I
ground?
think the building
or?
needs, if the siding comes down, all the way down, to me it seems like it will be against what we were talking about, the rustic quality, and you don't want to bring the siding all the way to the surrounding
hard to do
ground.
anyway,
You need something to receive it, so I would say wainscoting can come down.
Okay, I just want to point out that would, if it's at the location that you're talking about, and I'm going to locate it on my plan, it's identified there happens to be a legend number 8 concrete cap at that particular height.
That's exactly.
That's where you were
the floor
talking
line,
about.
basically. Yeah.
It appears by the way the elevations are drawn that would mean the north elevation would not have that condition.
No, it will have it's like
Just
almost like 18
a
inches.
small amount.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Maybe lower. Yeah, it's about.
One step.
I think
That's
it would
fine.
just be a
That'd be
few
okay.
inches, and that's
Oh.
That would be okay.
Yeah, you're right. It comes to a pretty minimal
I think that's
height.
and
But that's
that's
okay.
Yeah.
that's okay.
That's
Okay,
okay.
so the condition is that the wainscot
Sorry,
should
I
be
made it.
aligned with the
That up.
finished floor of the porch. Essentially, is
Yeah,
what
this side
we're
will be
seeing,
Yeah.
and it should be continuous at that height around the building, even if that means a very small amount on the north elevation. Okay. Let me just. Oh, and then we heard a comment from Board Member Sakai that it would be preferable to tie at least the color of the siding and the garage door together so that there would be some resonance around the site.
Yeah.
We'll use that word again in other conditions. It's a good word to use. And Mr. Joe, have I missed something?
No, but maybe should we talk about the garage door material,
Yes, please.
or maybe
What
the
is-
style? Yeah.
What's the board's preference on the garage door material?
Wood doors, I would say, because stone and wood probably go together better. Do you have a? Sure. Please come forward.
There are a lot of composite doors that look exactly like wood. You can even get the stain look I mean,
can
I'm
match
sure
the
you're
color.
familiar with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's-
so
it's more
it's better
durable.
if you go with a composite door. That way,
The
maintenance
right
cost-
color, sure.
Yeah. But it will be a wood look, so that
You can match the color to the house.
Should
Yes.
it have windows or not? Upper windows or not? Upper windows in the door or not?
Doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
either whatever you decide.
Okay.
It's small, so
Okay.
If the
Thank you.
windows-
So, a wood or composite door with the appearance of wood that has a simple design.
Yes.
Yeah.
Should we exclude like sectional doors? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
No.
You know, I didn't want the sectional door to show up, that's all. But
Well, if it's going to be an overhead door, there would have to be some, the construction of it would need to be a sectional door. I think what you're asking is, do we want to avoid the extreme panelization of
Yeah,
the doors?
right.
And so
No, I think that's
perhaps if
clear
we
in your
just say,
statement.
clear if we say it's a simple door.
Yes.
In a
And-
bungalow style, not contemporary.
Okay, a simple door that is complementary to the
It should
bungalow
follow-
style.
I think it should follow the direction of the siding. So if it's a vertical siding, it should be vertical. If it's horizontal, it should be horizontal.
Should resonate with the house.
Yeah. Resonate as long as
As long as it
the word-
resonates
the word is resonate.
with the siding.
The word of the day is resonate.
Okay, so that was our read back. I'm going to turn to the board members and ask
I'd
if
like
we've
to-
missed anything.
The color of the door, since it's shown as white, and we're advocating that the windows not be white, that the door match the window
No, this should match. No, one. That's
Or
color.
complementary
or
dark.
complementary color.
Okay, so that's the doors as
Yeah, yeah.
front
The
and
en-
the north
the entry doors.
side doors.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that should probably go with the same comments, but it's,
Yeah,
just
just
to mention to make sure. Yeah.
Make sure.
Yeah.
The trims, the doors. Yeah.
And there was agreement on the wood sills and trims? Okay. Could we say wood or composite wood for the surrounds?
Yes.
Okay. And would you like to maintain the condition number 3 in your staff report, vinyl siding should not be used?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve with the noted conditions and considerations. I'm not sure what your
Conditions and
considerations and conditions and considerations.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion by Board Member Sakai and a second by Board Member Garagos. This will be roll call to approve with the stated conditions and considerations. This will be roll call. Board Member Garagos.
Yes.
Board Member Sakai.
Yes.
And Mr. Chair Zarifian.
yes.
Okay, we have a 3-0 vote to approve with the stated conditions.
Thank you.
Announcement.
Going back to the review calendar regarding the last case on tonight's agenda, this would be case number 2-PDR 2011-010-A. We will be having a meeting then for this particular case on September the 15th. And we have noted that board member Zarifian will not be able to attend that meeting. So we will need
I
to...
will notify just in case if
Just in
plans
case.
change. I'll
Okay.
let you know.
So at this point in time, we'd like to have a motion to continue the project located at 1714 Tambor Drive to the Design Review Board meeting on September the 15th. Is there a motion to continue?
Yeah, make a motion as noted on 2 PDR 2011-010A, be extended till the 15th.
Second?
I have a motion by Board Member Garagos, a second by Board Member Sakai. In terms of a roll call, Board Member Garagos?
Yes.
Board Member Sakai?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Zarifian?
Yes.
Motion to continue passes unanimously, 3-0.
There's one brief announcement. Oh, sorry. Minutes first.
Go ahead.
A brief announcement we'd like to make. On August 23rd, City Council passed a number of changes to the zoning code. Every year or two, planning staff brings zoning code cleanups to the council, and those were adopted on August 23rd, will go into effect, I believe, on September 20th. We would like to bring that to you in one of your packets just as an informational item and highlight the items that would impact your work here as Design Review Board members.
One question, this meeting minutes that needs to be signed, is this for me
Yes,
to
okay,
sign, or-
that was going to be the next topic of discussion. We would like to have an approval of the Design Review Board minutes from August the 18th. All 4 board members for DRB were present. We had 3 cases on that evening's agenda. So I'm not sure if the board members had the opportunity to take a look at it.
Yeah, I did, but
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve minutes of August 18th.
Motion by Board Member Garagos, a second by
Second?
Board Member Sakai. In terms of a roll call, Board Member Garagos?
Yes.
Board Member Sakai?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Zarifian?
yes.
Motion passes unanimously, 3-0 to approve the minutes, as so noted. Any other?
I have a question on the minutes
Yes.
from July 7. Did we ever?
Oh, that's right, we have to carry those over. So yes, thank you. We'll make sure that the next agenda has the minutes for July 7th. Okay, with that said, staff has no other further announcements. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting at 6 o'clock?
There is.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.